Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Roving Naga. Hope you guys are doing great. So some experts have come from outside to set up camera traps inside our reserve forest, which is a Sendenyu community biodiversity reserve forest, to study and monitor the animals which is inside our forest. Not only that, they are also going to teach some of our volunteers how to use those camera traps. So let's go and check it out and also have a conversation with the expert.
Yeah, so you can see those little flags on on the display, right? Yeah,
Yes,
so
yes.
that is where those are the potential places and places of interest,
Okay.
or it could simply be a certain landmark which helps me to identify locations and also the places where I can set up my traps later.
Later, no?
Yeah, so and this saves my time because the first day I came to the to survey the route. So
Mhm.
I had just noted of all the possible places where I can say set up my traps in the future, in case like the already set up traps doesn't yield any results. So then I have a backup plan.
Okay.
So it saves me time in
Okay.
that case.
You have
And
already marked the location now, so that you can say that bit later on as well, right?
yeah, so it saves my time and the planning becomes much more easier rather than coming to the forest and then start searching for a new location. So it adds up to the time. So in order to save the time, so we generally carry out these surveys much ahead before we set up the camera traps.
Okay. So this is the camera here. So Angie, uh, can you please tell us more about this camera, how it works?
Yeah, so this is the camera trap we have been using. So basically camera traps have like three most important parts, that is the flash, the sensor and the lens. So these are the most essential part of the camera. So nowadays most of the camera traps, they would work with infrared sensors. So they have these sensors which is sensitive to infrared heat radiations, infrared radiations like produced by any object. So it could be a moving animal or a human, or in that case even a falling leaf, which may even trigger the camera.
This is use battery, right?
Yeah, it
The
works with a given number of AA batteries,
double battery. Okay, and then the SD card as well, no?
an SD card, yeah, of
Yeah.
certain size.
It's actually it has. He told me that it's waterproof. It's
Yeah, so since it is supposed to be left out, like completely exposed to the environment, to the elements, so it has to be, all camera traps needs are supposed to be very robust, climate proof, but over the time they become weak and their sensors, even over the time they become weaker and weaker, like any other thing.
okay.
So depending on how much they are exposed to the elements,
Okay.
so they have their own life.
This is the camera which you have been working with, and Angie is there working on a camera. It does a camera. We can't do anything with this setup. So if you see this camera anywhere, you don't take it away or damage it.
Yeah. So the camera can be purchased, but if there is any valuable data inside, so that data is the most precious thing which nothing can buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's very important that anyone coming across this camera, please avoid the camera, don't disturb it.
Yeah.
Just leave it as it is. Thank you.
So guys, finally I met Angie. This is the guy who I was talking about. So he's the guy who has been working with certain wildlife conservation organization. So he has been mainly working for studying uh, big cats such as tigers, leopards, and other animals. So Angie, can you tell us about where you were working or how you were working before?
Hi there. So yeah, the team of people I've been working with or associated with is based in Bangalore, but as per work, the it is we carry out our work in uh, places in the southern India, and mainly deals with monitoring or studying big cats like you mentioned, like tigers and leopards, and also other carnivores and other mammals as such,
Okay.
and using the techniques of camera trapping and several other uh, monitoring methods.
Angie, can you please tell the viewers about more about the camera or the device which you are using or the methods which you are using to study or monitor the animals?
Yeah. uh, yeah, the camera traps as such is a very common device now. It is a common and a very popular device now, used by generally by scientists and people relating to the scientific community, or any other civilian or any other purpose for studying wildlife. Camera traps nowadays are very popular and common.
Mm-hmm.
So generally it is used by scientists and people belonging to the scientific community to
Mm-hmm.
study or monitor wildlife.
Okay.
And not only by the scientists, but it was also used by any common person,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in a smaller number,
Mm-hmm.
to study or just to know about the animals present in certain area of interest. So even though it is very common and popular now, camera traps have existed, or the first camera traps, if I would say, it was developed during the 1890s.
1890s.
1890s, yeah.
Okay.
And so over the time it has changed a lot, because you can know 1890s, the kind of technology available during that period and the technology that we have now. So there has been a lot of change when it comes to the kind of device and the kind of methods that are being used now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, during the earlier part, camera traps were mainly used by hunters,
Hunters.
yeah, in
Okay.
order to use as a device to scout the area,
Mm-hmm.
to know what kind of animals are moving in their forest, or to select certain kind of animal for them to hunt and to follow up easily. So over the time, this same technique used by the hunters is now being used by conservationists and scientists, not to hunt but to study the animals,
Mm-hmm.
like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
different kinds of studies,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, the first camera trap was being developed in the 1890s, probably 1890s, in the US, somewhere in the US, and later in India it was developed. This method, the method of camera trapping to capture animals in terms of conservation, was started or started by a person, by a British officer named Champion, FW Champion, in the 1920s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So this is like pre-independent 1920s,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So this is the time of the famous hunter conservationist Jim Corbett.
Okay.
So it was during his time when the camera traps were first being used in India
Mm-hmm.
to so this guy was interested in knowing or to document the animals that were moving in his forest, and that can be said as a pioneer of camera trapping for conservation. But it was only during the 1980s when it was extensively used by researchers and scientists in India
Mm-hmm.
for conservation,
Mm-hmm.
and mainly conservation of big cats, studying and conservation of big cats.
Okay.
And from then till now, like, things have changed a lot, and camera trap has become synonymous with conservation.
Mm-hmm. So, like, as we are inside the forest of Sendenyu Wildlife Reserve Forest, how would you describe our forest?
uh,
If you were to describe our forest in any way, then how will you describe it?
yeah, so I have uh, I have had the opportunity of like seeing and visiting different landscapes and different forests, and every forest is unique in itself. And yeah, this itself is unique and it has its own challenges. So it's still too early for me to
Okay, comment on that.
comment on how it is.
Okay.
Difficult it is. Difficult it is. So yeah, it is a beautiful place and has a lot of potential. So right now I've just started my work, so I still haven't got any results. So over the time and depending on the results, anything can be said about like how rich it is in terms of the fauna. Or yeah, otherwise the forest is beautiful and every forest is worth saving.
Let's hope for the best. Let's hope we get captured some endangered wild animal which we have never seen in other places. What do we have to prepare to go inside the forest? If we are going inside the forest, what are the tools or what are the things which we need most? Can you just uh, give a small hint to our viewers?
Forest is a place to be regarded with a lot of respect. and and it can be a place of pleasure, and at the same time it can be very painful if you're not prepared.
Yeah.
Like yeah, you spend a lot of time in the forest, so you know, because it's not all beautiful that you know you experience inside the
It's
forest.
not like what we look from outside, no?
Yes, exactly. So I think I told you about it.
Yeah,
So
the beauty and the beast.
yeah, I call it the forest is always, I see it in terms of the beauty and the beast. So it's always beautiful when you look at it from a distance, but the moment you walk or be inside the forest, you one comes to realize that one needs to be very much prepared mentally and physically. And the forest is a very unforgiving place. It's a very unforgiving place if you're not prepared, and it is unforgiving, and it is not irrespective of who you are. So you need to respect the forest and you need to be prepared. So you just can't be taken by the fancies. So yeah, so as long as you respect the forest and you keep some distance and know how to deal with it, how to deal with certain situations in the
Adapt, no?
forest. Yeah, so it's all about respecting, I would say it's very important. So yeah.
Do you have anything to say to the viewers or to the younger generation about the conservation of our forests and wildlife animals?
Yeah, with this respect, conservation is of priority at this time that we are living. See, when I have like met people in this village, I have come to learn there are many veteran hunters and people who have a lot of skill about hunting and been doing hunting for many years. So these people I've learned that these people have given up their arms, have given up their guns, and now these same people, they are using those knowledge which they developed during those hunting period when they were actively hunting. Now they are using those skills to track animals and to aware people, and in fact they are helping me to know where are the possible places where I can set up my camera traps so that I get good results. So similar way, so over the time we need to grow, we need to adapt to the changing environment, the changing environment around us. So yeah, and conservation is of the priority, and it is important that now we see the forests and its resources in a different light. It has been a provider to all of us, and it will be a provider in many terms, in terms of pleasure, in terms of food, any kinds of resources we want. And it is very important that we don't lose it out. We don't lose it out. Like the number of people are growing, and with the growing number of people, we also need to respect the forest, and we need to know that the animals or the plants that has been here for ages have their rightful claim over the forest. And conservation is not all
Exactly.
about it's not all about conserving the animals for the sake of humanity. So in a different perspective, the animals or plants needs to be there because they are also uh, the rightful they have a rightful claim to the nature we belong to. So
Yeah.
we need to preserve them, or we need to help them, because the animals and plants, they don't have a means to help themselves. It's only we have been destructing, we have been making uses of the resources, we have been depending so much on the forest and the natural resources. So now it is we have the capability or the capacity to help other creatures as well. So it is, though the animals and plants can live on their own, but now the time is different, and now we need to give them a little helping hand for them to grow and establish themselves even much better in this changing world.
We are here in Sendenyu Wildlife Reserve Forest. This is our reserve forest, and we have set up cameras in different locations to monitor the wildlife movement inside our forest. So I pray and I hope that there will be some animals in the camera, so that we can give more awareness to the people, so that we can keep on pushing, so that we can preserve more, we can protect more animals. Ita kudo ko mun thai dolo do hoi nagan spra ko moi movie shikari mana je movie shikari bishi kushi pai ro mala video debi moi shikari kuri kuna bishi manan comments kore apni kile monso na mare de dekhili bi kuma dolo e hijra apni ti chira dikhina na mare na comments tak bi de mo ge I believe man ita high time bi usne ge man protect kurule man conservation on ina kurule breeding la time na mario lage man shikari kule bishi mun jai gule do season time ne mari tai bacha bukhe dem tai bacha dhore dem ne du na maribi aro ina forest tolo do sob manu hole bi chuto forest ekdam hunt na kura jaga kuma community biodiversity forest ina forest kuma mati thakile apna na line thakile do ina forest tolo do busti manabra donate kurina ina forest to thakiu laikile mane alag jane mari thakile bi tahan do ide refuge lo pare na jaga de just like Sendenyu Wildlife Reserve Forest. It is one of the biggest community reserve forest in Nagaland. So apnan gibi ina kuri na apnan gibi request kuri se apna bi na kuru paro aro one thing more tai se NGC tai he has lot of experience. I guess how many years of experience you have in this field?
I've been doing this work or been associated with the team for almost 10 to 11 years now.
10 to 11 years. Yeah. And you'll be working more years now.
Yes, provided I'm physically fit and I still have my mental insanity.
Kuma manu
I will keep working.
kuma manu tahan whole life ina dedicate kure wildlife ni de ina kam ne du tahan bishi paisa paina ra kure se. It's not all about the wages and the money or the salary. It is about the passion. So some people are dedicating their whole life into this, and some people are just going on rampant hunting. So it doesn't make any sense. So I request you all to protect this our forest and have a mindset of protecting the wildlife animal. At least don't hunt in the breeding season if you hunt. Aro mana forest solido alive kuna rakhi mana forest solid zinda lagle na forest zinda kuna rakhi na aptan sab request kore to man we'll just go and check out other cameras, no?
Yes, we'll be moving forward to other places.
He will be here for some few days, but unfortunately I'm going to different place, so I want to spend more time with him, but like it's not happening. But I'll try to get back soon so that we can check the footage of the camera and all, no?
Sure.
So with the permission of the whoever is taking these things up, I'll take the footage and show our viewers also, so that they can enjoy the pictures and all, no? Yeah. I hope it will be possible. Yep. So me and Angie, we are walking down that side. So we have checked one camera. We are still inside the forest, reserve forest, but we are not showing the exact location of the camera because of this privacy reason. And then Angie, like how do you like know where to keep the cameras? You know, how do you know like where to keep the cameras, or like know the location?
Yeah. So before we even start off putting the cameras in these locations, a couple of days, at least like a couple of days, we just survey the area using the local guides who are more acquainted with the roads and places. So I walk with them and using my GPS. So this is what I use to track down. So using the GPS, I take note of the road network, the connectivity, the important landmarks, and make a note of all the possible animal signs that I come across. Animal signs in the form of droppings, dung,
Dunks, no?
yeah, animal dung, droppings, mainly of wild animals. So I keep a note of all these on my GPS, and using the GPS, like, I can easily locate them even if I come alone. I can go back to those same places and deploy my cameras over there.
So, do you ever have ever come across some poachers or anything like that in the forest as you have been working in these protected areas? Do you ever come across some poachers gang something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, forests, there are always poachers or hunters in the forest, but physically I haven't come across any of them. But then our camera traps sometimes do capture even people carrying out certain illegal activities, like people walking around with guns in the forest. So definitely that is not right. Uh, and sometimes even people walking with a dead animal,
That
which
animals,
possibly they have hunted.
huh?
So we do come across, but not very frequent. And sometimes, yeah, the cameras themselves get stolen from time to time.
Get damaged or something
Get
like that.
damaged or get stolen
By
from-
people, no?
By people, obviously. So animals, they would, at the most, they would damage or disturb the camera, but they wouldn't steal cameras.
Yeah, that's true. I hope you're enjoying the weather out here. As
Yeah.
you're from, you told me you're from Shillong, right? You're
Uh,
basically from Shillong, bro.
Yeah, I grew up, I was born, I was brought up, and I completed my education in Shillong. And only after my academics, I had moved on to Bangalore and been doing this work that I have been doing for the last decade or so.
So working for this kind of work means no time for family and all, no? You hardly get time, I guess, no?
Yeah, I have to seek out time for family. So now I keep traveling from place to place, forest to forest. So yeah, but I have to make time to visit family and spend some quality time with them as well.
This is the flower. This is the present from the forest. See? Present from the forest. Actually, I'm departing with Angie here, and this is one of the village volunteers who are looking. Is taking Angie along with him so that he can set up the cameras and all. So Angie, thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank
all
you.
the help that you have provided me to know the camera better and to know your work better. And thanks for coming to Sendenyu village to do this work for us.
And
Thank
thank
you
you
so
to
much.
all the people who have helped me. Without their support, I don't think I would have been able to do anything.
Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.